And I said we put the lights on bright so it disorients the people. Ogle, please introduce yourself and what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, so my name is Ogle. Most of the people in crypto who know me as someone who does hack recoveries. So whenever there's like Euler and Alchemix and Curve and these sort of big hacks happen, I go and try to get the money back from the bad guys. I also have a blockchain. It's called glue.net. But I think the reason, Mo, that we're talking today is because of my proximity to the Trumps. So I'm the security advisor for World Liberty Finance, which is Donald Trump's, the first project they announced and the one that just finished the raise very recently. This is not the meme token, although there may or may not be connections. It's the actual proper sort of DeFi app.
So what was this evolution of building World Liberty Finance and creating it, launching it? Who was able to buy it? What was the project's basically mission?
Yeah, so the idea with the project, generally speaking, and not a lot's been announced, so I can't say a whole lot, but the idea with the project, generally speaking, is to have a place where regular folks can get access to the crypto world, the DeFi world, without really having to jump through a lot of hurdles. And so there was actually a little bit of kind of controversy in the press. People said, well, if you're trying to give access to like regular people, why in the world did you require the investors of it to be accredited? And it's the stupidest question, honestly. I mean, if you think about it, what they're doing is they're saying, look, you guys want this to be easy for everyone else, so you should break the law. With the SEC, the SEC has these rules before Trump came in, and maybe it'll change soon. The SEC has these rules and says you have to be accredited. And that's the point, is that the SEC is in the way of a lot of people getting access. And so the World Liberty Finance team did the raise the proper, regular way. The token's not tradable. It won't be tradable, for any period of time that I'm aware of. But, they're actually trying to do things legally. And so in my opinion, they got kind of undue criticism for that reason.
Right. Okay, and this was sort of the first foray for the Trump campaign or Trump family offices into crypto, followed very famously by Trump coin as the first, Melania as the second. How has that changed? I guess the most important thing is like anybody can buy a Trump, anybody can buy Melania. In what other, do you imagine that this is just a sequence of then it's going to be the other kids, and then it's going to be the housekeeper, and then it's going to be everybody in the campaign, and then it's going to be just about every politician launching a meme coin, and potentially just a popularity contest of which one has a higher market cap is a function of which one is more popular?
Yeah, so there's two questions there, right? So one is, do I think that the Trump team are going to create more meme coins? And then the second is, do I think there's a movement here for politicians potentially, right? And so, go ahead.
The first thing, I guess, and would it change now that he's in the office? Before he launched, he wasn't in office.
Right. And I think that's the point. And that would be my answer is, based on what I don't know or what I do know, there is a thing called the emoluments clause that the president usually has to abide by, which is to say they can't really do a lot of things that directly enrich themselves because of their office, right? And so I'm not saying this is the position of the president, but I'm saying that if I were in the president's shoes, I would find it perfectly okay to launch things before I become president. But once I become president, I doubt there's going to be more launches coming out of that. I think it's Trump and Melania, and that's it for the meme tokens. That's what my intuition is.
I don't know enough. Does that emolument clause apply to the family members as well?
So it's questionable. So because otherwise you could say, look, Mo, you're going to be the 0.5% founding member, and you go do all the work. I'm going to take 99.5, and I'm not the one doing the work, so I can get around it. It's complicated. I'm not a lawyer. I'm definitely not a scholar in that sense. But from what I remember from previous debates when Trump was in office, and what I've read up on somewhat recently, I just think it's very unlikely that there's going to be more than Trump and Melania. Now, in terms of the other question, which is, do I think that politicians can use this as a way to make money? Yes, I think very clearly is the case. I don't think that's, clearly that's not how Trump did it. He was already in office by the time these came out, or he was already voted in by the time these came out. But if you can imagine a situation where you have a popular politician, let's call him Joe, and well, maybe let's not call him Joe. Let's call him Jack. So you got politician Jack, and he, people like him. People think he's popular. He's got fans. He's got fanatics. He's got sycophants, whatever you want to call them out there. How can he help himself to raise money, but without actually asking for cash directly from the users? Launch a meme token. And you don't have to, so the second part will be like, okay, well, how does he make money? He has to sell tokens, right? No. If you look at the liquidity, the LP that was provided by the Trump team for just the Melania and the Trump tokens, the fees on the liquidity, so just on the trading, tens of millions of dollars, and it costs people nothing, right? And so if it were the case that they at that point were raising, they could never sell a single token, make tens of millions of dollars that would go back into their campaign to do whatever they want to with.
That's right. Being closer than most to the campaign as a security advisor for World Liberty, what are your thoughts on Trump creating just recently announced in the last few hours, creating a strategic Bitcoin reserve, a crypto reserve? What do you think that'll look like in terms of the U.S. government initially, and then governments globally? Are they going to be following it? What does that treasury look like? Who's going to be managing it?
Yeah, so I think they said that David Sachs is going to be managing it, if I'm not mistaken. What's it going to be comprised of, I think, is kind of an interesting question, right? Because it used to be called the potential SBR, the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. And then today they said Strategic Digital Asset Reserve, right? And so what could go in there? Bitcoin probably, Solana probably, Ethereum probably, these are the big ones. But is there a world where Trump decides, you know what, we're going to have Trump token in there. The United States government is going to buy Trump token. It's going to buy Melania token. It's going to buy WAGMI token to have a diversified portfolio for the United States. I think there's a world where that happens. And time will tell. This was just an hour and a half ago whenever this came out, but I can see where that would happen. And if you think about just the sheer size of the United States government's expendable assets, right? What we all have in this room, even the wealthiest among us, all combined, is the smallest possible fraction you can imagine of the amount of money that the United States government forgets about every day, right? And so if you think about that, and they go into these assets, WAGMI, whatever else, it could be really meaningful. We could be at the very beginning right now.
Yeah, I wonder how that translates into if people get so priced out of the market, then they have, a second version of Bitcoin. Everybody's going into Bitcoin Cash. Then it goes into the treasury, and then we find another Bitcoin. And then there's going to be, it could spawn 1,000 Bitcoins just because I wonder with this, having so much access can reduce the amount of people that want to be involved in that community.
Well, you and I have been around a long time. I remember in 2012 or so, when I first got in, people were like, oh, Bitcoin's expensive, it's $10.
Yeah.
And I remember the next year, Bitcoin's expensive, it's over $100, right? And everyone's priced out now, it's $1,000. You can't have one whole Bitcoin because the regular person can't make enough to buy one whole Bitcoin. I remember these conversations just like you do.
Yeah.
And so the idea of something being priced out, if you zoom out, that's when you know. But zoomed in, yeah, everything feels expensive right now. The miners back in 2013, 2012 were spending more money on electricity to mine a Bitcoin, and they were upset because it's like you get negative 30% ROI. But imagine mining a Bitcoin now for $7, for $70, for $700, for $70,000, you're making money.
Yeah. And I think the net result of all of this, especially very public statements about creating a crypto digital asset reserve, is very bullish on a market that is still, so you say, right, the industry is tiny. That's absolutely true. In comparing to the trucking industry, compared to the international transport, import, export, it's tiny, right? In terms of the growth of what's going to be built as a result of these statements, growth in America is a byproduct of how open the government is to crypto. And I think we'll see more and more being built and companies moving over here and working in America instead of trying to find or do geopolitical arbitrage with their company so that they can operate. That must change.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to change. So, Trump has spoken openly and semi-openly about several things. So changing the tax implications of US-based tokens. That's something that I've heard a little bit about. That is to say, if a token is from a US-based company, maybe there's not a like-kind tax on it. Making advantageous setups for corporations that want to be in the United States, making it advantageous for corporations that already exist and want to repatriate to the United States. And because of these, I see a lot of people doing that. I mean, I personally, like I said, I have a blockchain. It's called Glue. We launched very recently. And we originally found it in Zug. Because I'm Swiss? No, I'm not Swiss. But I don't want to get arrested. And so I say, look, I'm trying to do a good thing. I'm trying to actually contribute to society, but I don't want to risk my freedom based on that. And so I had to do it in Switzerland. But now, if these changes happen, I'm very happy to patriate to the United States. And I think a lot of other people will be too.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the more open a city is, a federal government is, just administration in general is, the more people would want to dedicate time and resources to building here. I was thinking about all these statements from the Trump administration about crypto, and something that I'm wondering is, when Luna collapsed and Tether dropped below 96 cents or 97 cents, very, very briefly, but that was a very terrifying moment for an industry that says that the stable coin that is underlying all of this could be in trouble. I mean, when a stablecoin goes under, it's TKO. Do you think there will be changes in stablecoins that have Trump USD? Do you think there's going to be something like a preferred USD token, or they'll work with the Federal Reserve together to create a stablecoin that makes sense for the government now?
I have unique knowledge of this, and it's probably best if I don't comment on that. But I mean, there's a world where it can and a world where it could not happen.
Because it's interesting that he didn't mention anything about stablecoins or federal. How do you call this? Federal. Federal Reserve USD.
The like a CBDC.
CBDC, yeah, exactly. There'd be no mention of that, and that is probably one of the biggest industries in crypto in terms of just dollar value and input-output globally of transfers of stablecoins.
Well, just like 45 minutes ago, part of the commentary that was made was that all the federal agencies need to stop looking into that themselves. And so that's kind of wild, right? Like, what does that mean? It means they want to make a new one that will do it. It means that there's already one out there they would like to endorse. It means they just want to get rid of the whole idea together. I don't know. But that was part of the kind of interesting stuff that came out. Yeah, so.
Yeah, these are big statements. These are sort of industry-defining moments which we're witnessing now for the first time. All of this is under the limelight and seeing what's going to happen. Are you optimistic about something in the coming 6 months, 18 months in the industry in America?
I'm optimistic about a lot of things in the upcoming 18 months, but I think the repatriation we talked about was probably the most interesting. I think that just in general, if you look at the crypto landscape, there's two issues with growth in crypto. One is difficulty with getting onboarding, and then two is difficulty staying safe when you do get on there, so not getting screwed by scams and that sort of thing. There are a lot of projects that are out there trying to work on this now. I think in the next 18 months, there's going to be a lot more that this becomes a meta. Probably, so I'm really looking forward to that. I know Lucas spoke earlier, he did Abstract. I'm doing Glue, we do the same thing for the last 3 years, been working on it. There's DeFi.app, there's Infinex, there's several different people who are trying to make like sort of super dApps that allow people to come on easily and safely, get their sort of baby step in, and then they can go off and sort of learn more about the ecosystem.
Yeah, and I think this, no matter how bullish you can be about an industry and an industry that's being accepted, adopted, issued by the government, there are still major teething points in crypto which need to be addressed. UX as one of them. What you're talking about, onboarding. The success of Pudgy Penguins, for example, is largely in part of how easy it is to access, understand, as a gateway drug to Bitcoin. And that makes it successful because they are amazing designers, an amazing team, delivering on that, and we just need more of that in the industry.
I totally agree. I just want to make a note. I see Garfield down here. That's actually not my name, so I don't know if it's popped up anywhere. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. You guys don't see this, but I see something down here. Yeah. No. I mean, I really think that like a heavy focus on UX is going to be it, because whenever you had the Trump meme coin come out recently, like if you look at the holder list now, it's 750,000 people, and a huge amount of those people came in on what's the app called? Moonshot. Yeah, Moonshot. Right. A humongous amount of people came in through that, and these are regular folks. These are just regular people. My grandpa went to Mar-a-Lago with me a year and a half ago because of NFTs. Does he know what the word NFT means? No, he has no idea. But it was easy to get, interesting to him because he's a Trump fan. He's in, right? And so I think that going forward, a lot of these like focuses on like visuals, focuses on UX, ease of use, takes 5 clicks and you're already inside of it. And not only that, but the keys and so forth are not held by someone else, right? That's key because then you get rid of issues like Mashinsky's and the issues that we've run into the past couple of years where people lose their money. And so I think that as long as we keep it secure and we get the UX kind of up to par, it's going to be bananas couple of years.
I think it will be bananas. Well, Ogle, thank you so much for joining me on stage here.
Happy to. Thanks, Mo.
All right, make some noise. Ogle of 11.